You've probably heard the phrase manna from heaven, right? It usually means some kind of unexpected gift. But the original story, the one from the book of Exodus, whoa, it is so much stranger and way more fascinating than just that. We're talking about a story of survival, of incredible trust, and, get this, a very specific instruction manual that comes with eating a miracle.
Okay, so just try to imagine this for a second. You've just pulled off the most incredible, most impossible escape in history. I mean, the relief must be absolutely overwhelming, right? But then what? What happens the morning after the big party, when you wake up and realize you're in the middle of a huge, empty desert and you have absolutely nothing to eat?
Well, that's exactly the situation the Israelites find themselves in. That incredible joy they felt about their freedom, yeah, that's already gone. It's been totally replaced by a much harsher and way more urgent reality. They are starving. And listen to how desperate they sound. They're literally saying they wish they'd died back in Egypt, back when they were slaves, just because at least they had food to eat. I mean, think about that. They're actually nostalgic for slavery. That tells you everything you need to know about how far their morale has fallen. They're convinced they've just been let out into the desert to die. And you've got to remember, this isn't after years of wandering. It's only been 1 month since they left Egypt, and they're completely out of food. This situation is absolutely dire. And so their complaints, what the text calls their murmurings against Moses and Aaron, well, they're getting louder and louder every single day. So all this complaining, it's actually heard. But the response they get, it's not just, a simple food drop. It's this incredible divine promise. But there's a catch, and it's a big one. This whole thing is also a test, and it comes with some very, very specific conditions. The promise itself is just mind-blowing. It's a direct promise from God. Not just, you'll find some food, but I will rain bread from heaven for you. I mean, bread literally raining from the sky. It's a totally unbelievable solution to what seems like an impossible problem. And like I said, here's that catch. This isn't some kind of free-for-all, all-you-can-eat buffet. Nope. This bread from heaven comes with strings attached. It's an explicit test to see if the people will actually follow instructions. So the big question hanging over everything is, will they do it? Will they follow the rules? What's really interesting is that the promise is actually a two-part deal. It's basically a daily meal plan. God says there's going to be meat in the evening and then bread in the morning. It's this super structured daily miracle. And they don't have to wait long. I mean, the first part of this promise gets fulfilled almost immediately. That very same evening, a huge flock of quails just comes down and covers the entire camp. So boom, there's the meat they were promised. Step one of the miracle, complete. Okay, so that takes care of dinner, but now we get to the morning part. And this is where things get really interesting, because this bread from heaven, well, it comes with a very specific and, frankly, a kind of peculiar instruction manual. So here are the rules of manna, the terms and conditions, if you will. Rule 1, you gather it every single morning right after the dew is gone. Rule 2, you only take what you need, exactly 1 omer per person, which is about 2 quarts, no hoarding. Rule 3, and this is the big one, this is a huge test of faith. You cannot, under any circumstances, save leftovers for the next day. And finally, Rule 4, there's a special exception just for the Sabbath. All right, so the next morning comes, the dew burns off, and there it is, this strange stuff all over the ground. So the people do what they were told. They head out and start gathering it up. And the text points out something interesting. Some people gathered a whole bunch, and others, well, they only gathered a little. But here's where the magic really happens. When they took it all back to measure it out, it didn't matter how much they had scooped up. The person who gathered a ton had exactly what they needed, and the person who gathered just a little also had exactly what they needed. It was like this supernatural balancing act. No one had too much, and no one had too little. So, okay, they've got the food, that problem is solved. But now comes the really hard part, actually following the rules. This is where we see that test of obedience play out in real time. And the results are, well, let's just say they're a little mixed. The command from Moses could not have been any clearer. Let no man leave of it till the morning. Basically, eat what you need today and don't save any of it overnight. This is all about trust, right? It's a direct challenge to that basic human fear that there won't be enough tomorrow. But of course, some people just couldn't do it. They didn't listen. Whether it was fear or just a total lack of trust, they hoarded some anyway.
And the consequence? It was immediate. And it was, well, it was disgusting. The next morning, the stuff they saved was crawling with worms and it stank. A pretty clear and pretty gross lesson in what happens when you don't follow the rules. Okay, now we get to the second part of the test, the Sabbath rule. And this one is a total curveball because it's the complete opposite of the daily rule. On Friday, the sixth day, they were specifically told to gather twice as much. Why? Because there wasn't going to be any manna on the seventh day, the day of rest. So this required a whole different kind of trust, right? Trusting that this one time the food wouldn't go bad overnight. And yet, you guessed it, some people still didn't believe it. They went out on the seventh day to go look for it anyway, just in case. And what did they find? Nothing. The ground was completely bare, exactly like they were told it would be. Now, this whole cycle, this daily provision and daily test, this wasn't just a one-week trial, not even close. It became the defining rhythm of their lives for an entire generation, and it left behind a really powerful and lasting legacy. So you're probably wondering, what even was this stuff? Well, the funny thing is, the people had no idea either. That's why they called it manna, which literally translates to, what is it? The Bible describes it as a small, round thing, kind of like a white seed, that tasted like wafers made with honey. And as soon as the sun got hot, poof, it would just melt away. And to make sure that this totally incredible story was never, ever forgotten, Moses gave a command. He had them take a single portion, just 1 omer of manna, and seal it up in a pot. It was meant to be a permanent, physical reminder for all the generations to come, to show them how their ancestors were fed in the middle of the desert. And this might be the most staggering fact in the entire story. This daily miracle didn't last for a week, or a month, or even a year. The Israelites ate manna every single day for, get this, 40 years. 40 years. They were sustained by this stuff right up until the very day they finally reached the Promised Land. And that really brings us right to the heart of this whole story, doesn't it? It leaves us with this huge question, one that echoes way beyond that ancient desert. What does it actually mean to trust that you'll be given just enough for today but no more? What does it take to resist that really powerful, really human urge to hoard and plan for a future you can't control, and to instead just trust that what you need will show up, one day at a time?